Instructions for accessing subtitles in a language other than English are included on our board meetings webpage as well as in the description below. Instrucciones para acceder a los subtítulos en un idioma que no sea el inglés se incluyen en nuestra página web de reuniones de la Junta, así como en la descripción a continuación.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is Wednesday, May 3rd, 2023, and this is the Ross Valley School Board of Trustees regular meeting. I am calling the meeting to order at 6:05. All right, and our first order is our closed session tonight. We have three items tonight on our closed session. We have conference with real property negotiators for 199 Porteous Avenue, conference with real property negotiators for 110 Shaw Drive, and conference with labor negotiator pursuant to Government Code Section 549576. And before we go into closed session, we will be taking public comment on any of those items that are in closed session. And since I know that there are a number of you who would like to speak tonight, I've got 5 speaker cards up here, so I'm just going to go ahead and call them. Come on up here to the table, tell us your name, and you'll have 3 minutes for public comment. All right, we'll go ahead and move forward with that. So Sarah Hom. Sarah wants to come up. Welcome, Sarah.
Thank you.
Come on up.
Do you want to take time?
Oh, yes, thank you for, and when, we'll be timekeeping, and it'll ring, and they'll let you know that it's 30 seconds left.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
I'm going to try to make eye contact and read very small print, so bear with me.
Go for it.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sarah Hom. 8 years ago, I joined Ross Valley School District and started the K-2 Special Day Class program at Brookside alongside Kitty Ruskowski and Janet Mercer, my beloved former program aides. It is my job to help some of the most vulnerable students in RVSD learn how to be successful students, make important progress towards grade level standards, and be meaningfully included within the general education community. In my classroom, letters are learned, number sense is built, first friendships are made, and a love for learning is established. I absolutely love what I do. It is an honor and a privilege to serve my students and their families. I also love working for Ross Valley School District. In this tight-knit district, I have had countless opportunities to learn and grow as an educator and teacher leader. One important thing I teach my students is to advocate for themselves and to speak up when they're concerned about something. A board meeting is not the platform where my students can advocate for themselves, so I'm here tonight to be their voice. A special day class program, more than any other program in this district, is enhanced by close and collaborative working relationships with other members of the special education team. This helps me and my classroom team carry over what students learn in private therapies to the classroom setting so they have more opportunities to practice. Unfortunately, staff turnover is continuously getting in the way of these efforts. Year after year, I watch talented and valued members of the special education team make the difficult choice to leave Ross Valley School District in order to earn more money in neighboring districts. In fact, in just 8 years in RVSD, I have personally worked with 4 school psychologists, 6 occupational therapists, 6 speech-language pathologists, just at my school site. In addition, there have been 2 different resource specialists and 3 different teachers for the 3-5 special day class at my school site. On top of that, the 3-5 special day class did not have a teacher for the first trimester this school year, which left myself and Jenny Burt, our resource teacher, in charge of ensuring that the students designated for that program received the education they are entitled to. It is only my 9th year of teaching, and I am somehow the 3rd most senior special educator in our district. This is not right. Ross Valley students deserve the best. So the educators who serve them must be valued, not just in words, not just in Teacher Appreciation Week, but in compensation, so my team can provide the best support to those who need it the most. Thank you.
Joe Pelleriti.
Hello, my name is Joe Pelleriti. I am the father of Evelyn and Joe Jr. here at Brookside, and my wife Trisha is the 3rd grade Golden Bell Award winner this year from Very proud of that. So I've been a part of these negotiations from the spouse side and from the parent side, and I've asked this question a bunch. Nobody seems to know the answer. So my wife said I can ask it on the public record tonight, and hopefully, I know you guys can't interact with me, hopefully at some point you guys can tell me the answer to this question. So, forgive me if I get the numbers a little bit wrong, but from what I understand, the state mandates a 5% reserve account. You guys typically in education keep a 10% reserve. Your district has a 28% reserve. So the teachers, from what I understand, are asking for 13-something% raise, which would constitute 3% of that reserve, 4% of the reserve. So, like, you have the money for the rainy day. It's raining right now. Like, why aren't you spending it? I don't get it. It's not like it's not there. It makes me think that, like, somebody likes to look at the bank account and feel real important, like Scrooge McDuck, like they have all this money. Like, I just don't understand why you're prepared for this moment more than any other school district, and you're not willing to execute the preparation. It makes no sense. This is the only district that didn't give a bonus one time to teachers in this district. We have friends that teach at other districts that got thousands of dollars. And you guys had them work in person and on Zoom simultaneously, the hardest teaching model. So, like, you have all this money, you've prepared for this moment, and you're not willing to step up to this moment. And so I just want to know why. If there's a good reason, I'm willing to listen to it. My mind is completely open. But at some point, can you guys explain why you have the money to stay competitive and you're going to let this district's best talent walk elsewhere because you're unwilling to use that resources to keep your teachers? I just don't get it. So if you could answer that for me one time, that'd be great. Thank you.
Griffin? Kara.
Kara, spelled Kara. My mom doesn't like writing K's. It's like my signature, so easy.
Okay, so as we know, Kara Griffin, 3rd grade, 21 years teaching. So as we know, our district has not kept up with the cost of living salary increases for many years. For example, when I started in Ross Valley 15 years ago, I was thrilled to make $8,000 more a year than I was in the Mark West Union School District in Santa Rosa, where I came from. I'm currently at step 21. A former colleague who is still teaching in Santa Rosa and is at step 20, one less teaching year than me, has a gross salary of $108,898, while mine is at $98,294. That is a $10,000 difference, and in Sonoma County, which has a lower cost of living. Sorry, nervous. I moved around quite a bit as a renter. 2 years ago, my family loaned me $50,000 for a down payment on a 738 square foot, 1-bedroom condo. This is a 10% down payment because I have excellent credit. Most lenders require 20%. It is doubtful I would have been able to save that amount of money required for a down payment. I feel so fortunate to have a family be able to give me this loan. So here are my financials at step 21. I put $300 away towards my retirement in a 403B. That leaves me with a take-home pay of $5,549 a month. My mortgage is $1,895. $800 go to property taxes. $780 goes to homeowners association dues. That's about $3,400 a month just for my housing. After paying for bills, food, gas, and any other expenses that come up, I typically am left with very little at the end of the month. Unexpected expenses come up all the time, whether it be car repairs, vet bills, special assessments, which as condo owners we have, doctor visits, blah, blah, etc. This leaves me with very little to save for emergencies and retirement. And I don't want to think about what happens when if my cancer comes back. 70% of my salary is what I would live on. That's not a livable wage in Marin. It saddens me that a single, full-time, professional educator with 21 years of experience struggles to be a homeowner in Marin. Someone with my credentials, I should have a bit of spending money for entertainment and be able to put more than $300 to my retirement. I don't have a partner to help me with that. It shouldn't matter whether you are single or married. We teachers should be paid a livable income and be able to work in the community we live in and not have to stress so much in the present and about our future. Thank you.
Cynthia Credo.
Hi. I'm Cindy Credo, the TK teacher at Hidden Valley School. I first began teaching in 1996. Since that time, I've educated 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, TKers, kindergartners, first and second graders. I love what I do and I'm pretty good at it. When I began teaching, my husband and I earned the same income. Currently, he earns 3 times the income that I do. He is the one to bring financial stability to our family. Last week, my husband was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. With this new information, I realized that our family stability may be at risk. My current wage will not be able to cover the cost of our monthly expenses if he needs to take time off work for his health. This would not be an issue if it was just the 2 of us, but I'm the mother to 2 adult children who are both working their way through college. Our children did ask, do I have to quit school? And should I find a higher paying job to help out while processing the cancer news? One thing my husband and I have always committed to is supporting our children, no matter the sacrifices we, the adults, must make, and that will always be true. From the minute I stepped foot onto Hidden Valley campus, I was welcomed as a member of the community. Hidden Valley is my family away from my family. I have been devastated to realize that my current wage, even with the position being full-time next year, will not sustain my family. I may need to make the difficult decision to find a position at a higher paying school district and leave my work family. It is a sacrifice. I may choose to provide stability for my husband and my children in the upcoming years. This news is not for sympathy, but to honestly share what takes space in my mind daily. I'm just one person struggling through this current process, but I know there are many among us struggling and making sacrifices. So I ask you, what is the sacrifice you are willing to make to provide stability for us, the members of the RVSD teaching community?
Thank you. Diana Sotil. Thank you. Sotile. Thank you. Diana Sotile.
Hi, good evening. Thank you to the board for serving our district and welcome to the new board members. I'm Diana Sotile, 15 years at Hidden Valley School and about 25 years of teaching in Marin County. I've loved working at Hidden Valley and have always felt supported and respected by my site administrators, by students, colleagues, and students' families. But when I consider the salary schedule and my yearly raises, I do not feel valued as an employee. Chris Carson, you recently presented us with some bar graphs showing what our certificated salary schedule would look like with the district management's current 8% proposed increase. And for someone like me who has maxed out their extra units and is beyond step 15, I would move from being at the bottom of the pay schedule in this county to being second from the bottom. It's been clear to me over the last several years that the longer I stay here in the district, the worse my yearly raises become. I'm not wise about finances and budgets, but it's not hard to see that the district management would probably prefer I leave so that they could hire a cheaper employee. That doesn't feel supportive or nurturing. So why haven't I left for another district where I can make more money? Because I have the generational privilege and marital status that has allowed me to work in the same town where I live. Without parents or family members to help you get into a home, and without a partner that makes a livable salary, it would not be possible to work and live in the Ross Valley District. I think the district has been able to function with a neglected salary schedule for many years off of employees that are in my situation. So if the district management really wants to have diversity in our staff and really want, and I'm quoting from the district website goals, to, quote, support, nurture, value, and maintain high-quality professional staff, then something has to change.
Thank you all very much for coming and sharing your information and sharing your stories with us. We really appreciate hearing directly from you. So appreciate the effort that you're making to come out tonight to share that with us. Thank you. And we are going to then go into our closed session. So we'll just open the doors again and all right. Welcome back. It's still Wednesday, May 3rd at the Ross Valley School Board Trustees regular meeting. We are reconvening an open session at 7 o'clock, a little bit late. Thank you all for your patience. Really appreciate your patience with that. We're going to, as I said, reconvene now into open session. We've got some procedural items, and then we will get into the rest of the meeting. So our first procedural item, as always, is the Pledge of Allegiance and our mission moment and democratic reflection. This month is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and it's also Jewish American Heritage Month. And it's just a moment to reflect on the fact that our students, and I know that when we have had the schools come and had students come and talk to us, they talk a lot about what they're doing in their schools to reflect on the different cultures and backgrounds of all of the students. And part of that is reflecting on the different heritage celebration months. But I also really appreciate the mindfulness that all of our schools have to weave all of that throughout the year, so that these months are a moment to stop and kind of go deeper on different cultures and backgrounds and heritages, but that it's also woven throughout the year and kind of goes in a lot of cycles. I know we talk about like going in cycles in math and repeating things, but going deeper. And I think this similar process in our schools. So I really wanted to just encourage all of the parents to have conversations with your kids, because I was reflecting on the information that the teachers are working on, where the students are watching films, they're reading special book bundles for each of these heritage months, and they're learning about the different heritage. So just wanted to acknowledge here before we say the Pledge of Allegiance that this is the AAPI Heritage Month and Jewish American Heritage Month for May. And this is also wanting to appreciate that this is Staff Appreciation Week. And so we, as the board, also just want to share our appreciation for all of the staff, the teachers, the administrators, the janitors. It just takes everybody's unique contributions to our community. And just as with all the cultures and heritages that we appreciate all year, we also just appreciate all of our staff and teachers and everyone in our schools all year. But this is a special week to reflect on that. So with that, I invite you to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will continue on with I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, on to adopting the agenda. Did any of my colleagues see anything on the agenda? Yes.
Our item F1, which was a presentation this evening from the Marin County School Boards Association regarding shared services in Marin County schools. The trustee from Lagunitas, Denise Bellman, unfortunately had to have emergency dental surgery today, so she won't be joining us this evening. she'll be back another time. So I'm looking to pull that agenda item off tonight's meeting.
Okay.
Was there one of those board policies we were going to pull?
That we'll do under consent
Oh.
when we get there.
What was that?
No, it was something else.
Something that's under consent.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
Any other changes, questions, or amendments? Okay. Then we can entertain a motion to adopt our agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Brian?
Aye.
Rachel?
Aye.
Shelley? Aye. Daniel?
Aye.
And Chris? Aye. Thank you. Okay. We have our agenda. So our first order of business is recognition and a reception. The first one is recognition for an introduction of Miss Amanda Wagner.
Yes, so I did see Amanda here, and I saw, oh, hi, Anna, how are you? I saw your mom, too. And do you have anybody else with you this evening?
Nope.
Okay, all right. So, don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but can you stand for a minute? Okay, thank you. Board of Trustees, you all approved Amanda's hiring for next school year as the next principal of Brookside School. So unfortunately, Judith Berry, sitting in the front row here, Judith Berry Goujon, is leaving us for greener pastures, moving out of.
That's joy for my year off and moving near my family, not joy for leaving Brookside with the district.
Thank you for clarifying. And so you did approve Amanda's hiring on April 5th for next school year, beginning next school year. And so tonight we wanted to have a chance to have her come and be introduced to you. So you all might remember what I was able to describe at the April 5th board meeting is that Amanda went through 4 rounds of interviews, and we utilized the input that was provided by students, parents, guardians, as well as certificated and classified employees at the school site to help us develop the questions, the interview tasks, everything related to what we needed to know more about. And Julia, thank you so much for leading that interview process through all those rounds and developing all the questions, taking all the input. And then from each interview panel, the interview panel members were asked also to give feedback and input. What more do we need to know as we continue in this selection process? And so that input was continued to be further used and utilized through the process. And then I met with Amanda together. We met for about an hour and a half and went through some other questions and things that she had, as well as that I had, to make the determination that she would be the great selection for our next principal. And Amanda's coming full circle. So she started out her teaching career in the Ross Valley School District as a 6th grade core teacher at White Hill, and then moving into 7th grade, social studies. Annie? No, you just did social studies that.
I did English intervention as well.
Oh, yeah, that's right, English intervention. And then last school year when she was in our school district, she was one of our MTSS partners and worked with in 5th through 8th grades. And then this year, she was ready to move on for an administrative position, and we didn't have one for her that she could be considered for. And so she did go to Novato, started out the beginning of the year at Hamilton, a TK through 8th grade school as assistant principal. And then about a month and a half into the school year, they pulled her over to San Jose Middle to serve the remainder of the year. And so Amanda didn't tell you that you had to speak tonight, so you don't have to. But she did say, and it was in last month's board background, that feeling like she's coming back to her roots and feeling a real connection with our school district for the direction that we're going with our racial equity work, as well as in making sure that we're supporting students in our MTSS modeling and all of that. And she really looks forward to getting back to a place where she is working collaboratively with her site colleagues to continue to do great things on behalf of each other, as well as the students and families at Brookside School. So you don't have to say anything if you
You said everything. I'm just thrilled to be back, and it truly feels like coming home, so thank you.
Great, thank you. And it's so great to have your mom, Anna Lazzarini. So Anna retired as principal of Mill Valley Middle School after many years there.
Many years there.
Many years there.
27.
Yeah, I remember visiting Mill Valley Middle. I think it may have been a distinguished school. It was something that I went served on a panel there to see what Mill Valley Middle was all about.
Gold ribbon, I think.
It was a long, what was it?
Gold ribbon.
Gold ribbon, that may have been it. And it was a long time ago, but it was great to meet you then and now to see that we ended up having your daughter come work with us. So thank you so much for having Amanda. And as I was talking with someone the other day who said somebody was complimenting her on how great her child was, and her response was, "I made him myself." And I thought, that was great. I'm going to borrow that for now going on. So you too can do that, everyone. So thank you so much for being here tonight and letting the board be able to meet you. And if anybody has anything that they would like to add.
Welcome. We are really thrilled to have you. We're
Missed you.
yeah.
And as a Brookside parent to two Brookside kids, it is truly a wonderful, wonderful place to walk onto the campus every day. And we're very pleased that you'll continue that magic that Judith has started and will continue, and the teachers there, just incredible. So thank you for stepping up, and congratulations, and do epic stuff.
Can't wait to be there.
Hopefully you can stick around for our next agenda item.
Yes,
where we have a reception. So thank you. I know. I'm glad that you're here.
Amanda will be on the Brookside campus May 12th to have meetings with staff members who may want to meet with her, and then she'll be attending field day on May 26th. Great. 26th? Mm-hmm. So thank you so much. So yes, just you wanted to stick around for our Golden Bell and announcements and reception.
Well, why don't we roll into that
All right.
then? So we can get on
Okay,
the
well,
reception.
tonight is always a special night when we can honor our educators in our Ross Valley School District. And although we're not able to honor everybody all at once here, but we do through our Staff Appreciation Week, and it just happens to coincide with when we're doing our Golden Bell celebrations. And one of the things that we look at when we do our Golden Bell and the principals have their site staff give input into who from the site might be selected for the Golden Bell, is we look at characteristics. And so the common characteristics that we ask folks to kind of view their colleagues and say who is the epitome of these characteristics and who is deserving of a Golden Bell for this year. So those characteristics are keeps equitable practices and inclusivity at the forefront of interactions, innovative, collaborative, takes initiative, proactive, has a growth mindset, is a problem solver, and goes above and beyond for students and or the school and or the district. And every year, as part of the Golden Bell Awards, is we also want to be able to celebrate our employees here in the school district, but there's a countywide annual awards ceremony that it is countywide, and this year it'll be back at the Dominican University campus at Angelico Hall, 4:30 on Thursday, May 25th. And every year there's site honorees, and there's also a category every year of classified. But unfortunately, the way that the Golden Bell ceremony is set up for the county is we're not able to honor one classified employee from every one of our sites. And so every school district has the ability to honor a certain number, and that number is determined based on enrollment in the school district. So our district is allotted 3. But because we feel it's critically important to be able to honor somebody from every school site, that's what we do here at our board appreciation and celebration of them. And then another one of the countywide of the year categories is the countywide classified employee of the year. And each district has the opportunity to nominate somebody for that honor. And then all of the nominations get put in front of a committee of past recipients who makes the determination based on what awesome things are written about those folks, is to make the determination for in this case, the countywide classified employee of the year. And we're really happy because this year, one of our employees was selected. And then another category this year, it's typically a rotating category. Every district can choose a community partner or honoree. And we have chosen our Parent Guardian Equity Task Force. We are going to acknowledge and honor them at our May 31st board meeting, when we are going to be bringing back our board policy on racial equity. So it'll be finished. We have our final subcommittee meeting. So we will honor our parent guardian equity task force at that time, where hopefully the board policy will be approved that evening. But if not, then we have June 14th if there are any suggested revisions that you all might make that we take a look at. So tonight, very happy to have our Golden Bell honorees for Ross Valley School District here with us. And we have our site and some district office administrators to be able to say a few words on behalf of each of these folks. So if we can, and why don't we'll do by school site rather than certificated and classified separately. So I'll do them all together. So Judith Berry, do you want to start us off?
Brookside's always first because it starts with a B.
Yeah,
right?
I know. We can go the other way. We'll start with White Hill.
So first I'm going to talk about our certificated Golden Bell, Trisha Pelleriti. And since Trisha landed at Brookside, she's been a willing volunteer to support in any way possible. She's taken on so many leadership roles in the district and at Brookside, such as Delight. She's done tech coaching, site leadership team, and she's a union rep this year to provide support to her colleagues, which has been tremendously important. She participates in math teacher leadership with SCO, and I'm hoping that as we go deeper with math, she will use all of the wonderful stuff she's doing there to help here at Ross Valley School District. She integrates site and district equity goals seamlessly with her curriculum and really demonstrates some amazing ways to do that to all of her colleagues. She shares all those ideas with other teachers and does whatever it takes to support students socially, emotionally, and academically in her classroom. She works collaboratively with all of our school teams and families, and her students have a high level of success. They're very lucky to be in her classroom. And she has two beautiful children, Evelyn and JJ, who go to Brookside School too. So congratulations. And then our classified Golden Bell, where he's sitting, Christopher Nelson. Christopher began as a noontime supervisor at Brookside School. He's one of the many parents that have been recruited from our community, and I'm really thankful to say he decided to stay and keep working at Brookside. And so he went from a noontime supervisor where he was incredibly reflective and dedicated to learning all he could about supporting students. I don't think I have had as many meetings ever with a noontime supervisor because he wanted to know, like, what do I do in this situation and how do I handle this? And he was just so open to learning everything he could to support students. He's always been prioritizing inclusivity and our site equity goals. He moved on from the noontime supervisor position to become an early childhood program aide. And this year he joined our SDC team as an SDC program aide in our lower grade classroom. And we love having him there more hours and helping more students. He's incredibly intuitive and he's very caring and builds trusting relationships with all the students that he works with. He balances supporting and setting appropriate boundaries and really helping students develop independence for all of our neurodiverse students in the special day class. And then he continues to be flexible and he's always willing to support all students at Brookside. And he also has two wonderful children, Miles, who's graduating this year, and Ellis.
Thank you so much. And Christy Fish with Hidden Valley.
Hello. The certificated honoree at Hidden Valley is Lauren Coburn. I was going to have Lauren stand up. Lauren is amazing and well loved, and there's a phrase that I was thinking of that describes her. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And Lauren takes her students far because she collaborates so well with every teacher in the school. She is always available. She's not only with other teachers, but for the students. She goes above and beyond for every single person that she comes into contact with. She has shifted our special education program to be inclusive of every child that needs support in any way. There's no label needed. Lauren will make sure that they get the help that they need. I can't say enough about her, but I can share that our school earned the California Distinguished School Award, and I know that that would not have happened without Lauren's dedication to our special education program and to her efforts to make sure that the students receive the support they need and to close the achievement gap. And that I can say, even though she didn't do it alone, she did it as the leader of that program. So thank you so much, Lauren, for everything you do for our students, our school, and our district. We would not be the same without you. Make us better. And our classified support staff that we're honoring tonight is me. I did see Osmin had the pleasure of being voluntold that he was going to leave White Hill to come to Hidden Valley, which, as most of us know, leaving one site to another is usually not a happy thing. But he did it because it was a shift that was needed and necessary for the better good of the district. And he came in and just cleaned the heck out of Hidden Valley. He is always smiling. He's always pitching in. He might finish his job and he goes on to what he sees next. He has been amazing and just such a bright and cheery guy, along with just keeping us healthy and safe during these last few years of COVID and all the germs coming back in play. We know our rooms are clean, which is no small matter for all of you that spend hours and hours in classrooms. No. And besides all of that, he's just this great guy on campus that we all appreciate. Osmin, thank you for being in Valley Hot.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you.
So I have the honor and the pleasure of talking about Kara Chambers, who is she's our special education teacher at Manor. We call it the Learning Lab over there. And I feel very similarly about Kara as we do about Lauren. Kara is top notch. She has created an amazing special education program at Manor, has shifted sort of the how we view special education and how we support all kids, no matter who they are. But I walk in her room daily and I can't believe how you do it. You're raising two wonderful children, Gideon and Eden, and your classroom is thriving, the children are really, really growing, and you just do it with such professionalism and grace and poise. She's also a member of what I call our dream team at Manor. I don't like to say it too loud because I don't want to take it away. But really, we have such an amazing team over at Manor, and Kara is such an integral part of it. And I don't know what I'd do without you either. You're a fantastic human being, educator, and I appreciate all that you do. So does our staff as well. Winner is not here tonight. She actually wanted to be here, but she wasn't feeling well. Her whole family is down with illness. So that is Laura Jordan. She's our administrative assistant. She's fairly new to Manor, but she's been a parent at Manor for a long time and continues to be. She has an incoming kindergartner as well. And Laura is just one of those people, if you come to Manor, you just know, because she welcomes you with a smile. She's positive. She's ready to help at any moment. She's my right-hand person. I mean, I think to ask her to do something, and she's like, oh, I already got that done. So she's just right on top of things, and just a pleasure to work with. She's really, I know she's supportive to staff, and the students love her, so I just wanted to give a shout out to Laura, and she's been such an asset to our staff. So the final one, I'm just truly honored and blessed to announce that Victor Montoya, why don't you come on up, because this is Victor. Victor has been nominated before as our district, but this is I want everybody to understand how big of a deal this is. That we selected as a district, including Des also helping with writing it, and Marcy and the whole team. We selected Victor for the countywide Golden Bell Classified Person of the Year for Golden Bell. And, that's against how many people do you think, Marcy?
Well, there's 17 districts in Marin.
Yeah.
And so if everyone submits, at least against 17 people.
Yeah, at least. And he was selected. But you know what? You deserve the essay. And we're gonna give you that. So if I can find it. Hold on.
Well, and while you're looking for it, Peg, let me just say that when I talked to the county office and they let me know that Victor had been selected for our district, they let me know that the committee was specifically taken by the words that were written in the nomination about your history, your background, and coming here and going through adversity and making it through, and what you do now to uplift the children at the school, clean the school, and do everything you can every single day and interact and make sure that you are uplifting all of the children at the school and being concerned about them. So they were particularly taken by not just doing your job, but by going above and beyond.
Yeah,
your job.
The words now. So you almost It is a true gift to the Ross Valley School District community. Not only is he highly skilled in all aspects of his job as a building manager, his positive attitude and overall goodwill is unsurpassed. Victor grew up in El Salvador in the late 70s and early 80s during the Civil War. He endured great hardships during this time, but it never dampened his spirit or zest for life. He shared that it helped to build his character. His mother left El Salvador for America when Victor was 9 years old so she could create a better life for her children. Victor stayed in El Salvador with family members until he left for Mexico when he was 17 to reunite with his mom. After finishing high school there, he went to Los Angeles to be with his mom again. He then moved to San Francisco in his early 20s where he met his lovely wife, Laura. He worked many different jobs before coming to the Ross Valley School District as a building manager in 2004. He's worked here for 19 years, right? It's about 19 years. And he has a lovely son and daughter. Tell them your names again. Their names.
Alex and Roxanne.
In his role as building manager, Victor demonstrates a strong work ethic and approaches all of his tasks and projects with a high level of quality. He cares deeply about making sure that the campus is clean and beautiful at all times. He takes on landscaping and maintenance projects that are beyond his daily duties in order to support his maintenance colleagues and to make the school shine. Victor is also very focused on the safety of the students and staff. He takes the time each morning to walk the campus and to make sure that everything's in order. Victor is a team player and takes the lead during the summer to coordinate and collaborate with his building manager colleagues across the district. Victor has a strong connection to the students and families at Manor. Everyone loves and respects him. As you could see this morning at our Wednesday welcome as we shared this with our community. I mean, there was just a roar. Where are we here? During recess and lunch, Victor is out in the schoolyard interacting with students and supporting our yard supervisors. Students often ask if they can help Victor clean up the yard, do landscaping, or just walk and talk with him. He often helps to translate from Spanish to English for our Spanish-speaking families. Victor loves soccer, the Bee Gees, and 70s ballads. He was in a band where he sang his beloved 70s songs, which we're going to get you to do at the variety show. He loves learning and talking about what he has learned with others. Victor loves his job because he loves people, especially children. He radiates kindness with a broad, friendly smile, and he's always ready and eager to lend a hand. No matter what, we can count on Victor to complete any task. He goes above and beyond the call of duty on a daily basis. He's a role model for both children and adults, and he's truly one in a million. When we asked Victor what he loves about Manor School in Ross Valley, he shared that it is a postcard life that he values, a beautiful landscape, and lots of friendly people he can help. Congratulations. Because they were so excited that there's going to be a movie made about it. There's going to be a film. They do a featured documentary on each person that's selected. Can't wait to see it. Thank you, everybody.
And Julie Harris, Abe Thomas.
Good evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to, I think we all stand up here and you should know that, like, when you're an educator, you get into the business and, you always are so enthralled by people that get the Golden Bell Awards and wait anxiously, sometimes a long time, to get that Golden Bell. And sometimes you don't get it, but it's just a marker, a moment, right? And so for each one of you, I hope you have your moments, because we all deserve them. So I wanted to begin with our certificated staff member for Wade Thomas, Joel Ott. You want to stand up? Joelle has taught for 18 years here in the Ross Valley School District, the majority in kindergarten. She is beloved by her students, family, and staff, and she is conscientious, student-centered, and involved in all aspects of our school. And she sits on multiple committees for the school and the district, and we all appreciate her all-in attitude. And those are the words that I wrote to describe her when I sent this message out to the parents. Sometimes you can't, in the words, capture the magic that a person brings to a school site. And so I like to call it Joelle's special sauce. And her special sauce is that she sees people, she really sees them, on the inside of them and on the outside. And she values them for who they are. And that's each and every one of her students. If you want to just start into her classroom every day, there's lots of enthusiasm and joy and celebrations and proud moments. And moments where kids are appreciating and celebrating each other. And sometimes it's even hard to find her in there because she's right there with them, arm in arm. If they're not actually on her arms as she's walking down the hall, telling her a very important thing, and she's right there listening to them. And I think that she stops and she really does take that moment and allows for them to connect with her. And that same feeling goes for her families because they feel like she really sees them and hears them. And when you have that opportunity to feel that someone really listens to you, and as a person lending your kids to a teacher for the day, it makes you feel safe as a parent. So I think those moments are those magic special sauce moments. And then her colleagues feel just incredibly lucky because she takes the time to listen to them, to share with them, to be involved in their lives, to celebrate with them. And she sits on a lot of committees at the school site. She's also a parent at the school site, so she decided that, she wanted to be really involved in the Parent Association as well. So lo and behold, she is on the board of the Parent Association. Mm-hmm. She sits on our staff leadership teams. She's involved in, I can't even name all of the committees at the district level as well. So you take all of that, put it together, and that's what we call the Joelle special sauce. So Joelle, thank you on behalf of everybody. and our wonderful classified support person for honored for Golden Bell this year is Steffi Zuta. Steffi, you want to stand up? That's a little bit emblematic of Steffi. She is very attuned and focused. She comes into the school every day for less than 2.5 hours and is involved in everything and then slips back out. Steffi joined us during the pandemic, and it was just like a joy and a small miracle to get a staff member during the pandemic who would be so committed and caring in such a difficult situation, right? Your mask, you have to walk this way, follow those arrows, follow all these rules, and then spray everything with something so you're all clean. And it's just amazing that someone would want to join in education. I just have to say during the pandemic that she did. So Steffi has 3 wonderful children not in our district, so I think this is her safe haven, is what I'm doing. But when Steffi comes, so she is a noontime supervisor as one of her roles. And you'll often see her crouched down, talking with kids, really listening to them, helping intervene when there's problems. If anybody's hurt, she's right there. And she always makes sure that it gets to the office and follows back through with me and with the teacher so that we know what's going on. She also works in classrooms. This year she's working in a kindergarten classroom and I think 2nd grade, so 3rd grade, right? 3rd grade classroom. And she's right there devoted to supporting small group instruction, whatever the teacher needs. And when I say whatever the teacher needs, she's willing to do anything. She has an incredible, supportive, can-do attitude, and we are so grateful, Steffi, that you joined us and that you stuck with us, and we hope you continue to stay with us here.
John Baker.
Hi everyone. What a beautiful event as a new principal here just to see this really is the best community with the best staff and that we get to highlight this. The first person I want to recognize for certificated, it's our great pleasure to recognize one of our school counselors for the Golden Bell, Michelle Pelton. Will you? Michelle embodies the qualities for an outstanding counselor. She's student-centered, hardworking, funny. I think she's the funniest person at White Hill. Relatable and cares deeply about the White Hill community. She's consistently demonstrated a deep commitment to not only the health, well-being, and success of our students, but also our students' connection to school and with each other. From overseeing our binder hospital to helping students navigate difficult personal situations to working with teachers to develop strategies to support struggling students, Michelle is an incredible asset to our school. What sets her apart, like I mentioned, is not only her sense of humor, but also her ability to connect with really everyone. She has a way of making everyone she interacts with feel seen and heard, and her positive attitude is truly contagious. For all these reasons and so much more, I'm honored to recognize Michelle for the Golden Bell. Thank you. And for classified, we're thrilled to recognize one of our outstanding staff members. As you all know, our schools would not function without the dedicated people who work not only behind the scenes, but this is one of our front of house people. And that's Beth DeFrance, our school registrar. Beth has a reputation throughout the White Hill community and really beyond as someone who is willing to help and always with a friendly and compassionate demeanor. Whether she is helping enroll a new family or supervising out in the yard or talking to a parent who needs someone to listen, Beth is always there with a smile on her face and that can-do attitude. She's a tireless advocate for White Hill and the families we serve and constantly looking for ways to improve the experience of our students and families, and I appreciate so much her input that way and how much she's taught me about White Hill and our community. So we're honored to recognize Beth DeFrance, our amazing school registrar with this Golden, very much well-deserved Golden Bell.
And those are all the site folks. And last but not least, district office, Julia Wolcott.
Yes. Some more back of the house, right over there, one of the members of our tech department, Paula Boystein, who is just fantastic. Her office is right across over there. And I'm reading this on behalf of Dawn, our Director of Technology, who works closely with Paula and couldn't be here this evening.
Is Paula here?
No, Paula. She's unable to make it. Paula is an extraordinary team player. She's always got a positive outlook, no matter how daunting a task or project may be. She's gifted at devising plans to solve problems she's never faced. She always knows how to go about finding a solution or can figure out who to collaborate with to get to that solution in a timely manner. Paula is also quick to jump in and help no matter where she's needed, which makes all the difference in the world for a small tech department managing a plethora of different systems. Paula is amazing. I met with her just today, and I can tell you she is a somewhat untapped resource that we have, who has just so much to offer our district, and we are so very lucky to have her here.
Thank you for representing all of our amazing educators in Ross Valley, certificated, classified, and just on behalf of all of our students, staff, and families, thank you so much for everything you do each and every day, and to our Golden Bell honorees. And then for those of you, as I know, that we underlined the folks who would be receiving a Golden Bell at the countywide ceremony as well. But tonight we do want to have just a short reception to just be able to mix and mingle and to celebrate all of you. And so if we can, and then while we're doing that, I'll pass out. We do have a Golden Bell that Teresa, thank you so much for making. Thank you. And so we do have a couple of treats, and the kids, I hope your parents let you have some. Do you think they will? Yeah? All right, good. All right, well, let's take a few minutes then to just acknowledge and honor and celebrate all of our Golden Bells too.
All right, we are back from a short recess at 7:56. From our Golden Bell Award recess. And we are on to item E, which is communications. Reporting out from the closed session, there's nothing to report out from our closed session before the open session, other than to say we didn't finish all of the items, so we will be going back into closed session at the end of the meeting. But no action was taken, so nothing to report out from that initial closed session item. And now we are on to public comments regarding items not on the open session agenda. So if there's anyone in our audience who wants to say anything about an item that's not on tonight's agenda, okay, not seeing anyone. Correspondence and communication to the board. So all of that communication, I think we did have some, so that's on there, as always. Make sure everybody was able to see that and had any questions or anything. Nope. All right. And we adopted our agenda for item number F. So we got rid of the first agenda item. That'll be moved to a future board meeting so that we can have the representative here. So we are now on to item F2, which is our Deer Park update.
All right, and thank you so much. And we're glad to have John Carroll, Marin County Superintendent of Schools, with us this evening to be part of the update that we have tonight. So the board brief, we were able to finish last night, so it did get posted up on Board Docs. It may have been around 10:30-ish, maybe, when we finished it. And so would like to just give an update this evening. So some of the topics that we are going to be going over tonight is hearing an update from, as I mentioned, John Carroll, and then an update regarding the 7-Eleven Advisory Committee and surplus property process, timeline, as well as terms and conditions, including sale, purchase, price discount factor. And so we'll start with John. Do you want to give a brief update? And again, I apologize because I think we thought we'd be going on roughly around 7, thinking that the MCSBA would put us at about 7:15. So we're sorry that we're for everybody that we're a little later.
We have a bag of snacks.
Totally joking. Yeah, so I don't have a whole bunch to update the board on in terms of the work that Marin County Office is doing as sort of the parallel idea about the county office acquiring the Deer Park property. So some of this is going to be repetition. I'll try to keep that part short. But first of all, some gratitude to the staff of the district and of the center for their welcoming the input and the scrutiny from the county office as we do our due diligence inspections. I wanted to update people on what kind of the specifics of what those are looking like. And I've been to the center a couple times now, but I believe MCOE staff, along with our Greystone West construction management consultant, has spent some time there already. I believe they were there yesterday, and they're jumping right in. One thing that I had hoped to report on tonight was an update on the timeline for us to know when we would have our first round of due diligence work done. And I unfortunately don't have that. I was hoping to get a text right before this meeting.
That's why we were running late, just hoping.
So Mike Grant, any word? And he said, yeah, unfortunately, Greystone is saying right now, for sure before August 31st, and I'm pushing, saying that's not soon enough. One of the problems they're running up against, to be fair, is finding contractors right now is difficult, and so I think it will definitely be before that, and we're kind of pushing that as fast as we can. But I don't have anything to update you on in terms of our timetable for getting that first round of inspections done. But as soon as I do, I won't wait for a board meeting. I'll let everybody know. Okay. But work is happening. So just to kind of highlight the first things that we're looking at is a phase 1 environmental review, hazardous materials survey, which I believe they've started to do a little bit of that, poking around the building. A Title V report from CDE. So that's there's a special report that I was not even aware of this, that it's not just a title report, but the Department of Ed also keeps track of titles for school property all over the state. So that's something they're looking into. The geohazard report, boundary survey and preliminary grade report, and then a site walk and investigation. The reviews and walkthroughs have started. Our Marin County office staff has met with County Fire Chief Jason Weber, and they're in conversations about water flow, fire hydrants. They are working on evaluating fire prevention upgrades that would be needed. And what we want to do at the county office is make sure that we're doing some of that, that we're doing all that work ourselves, that we have our own measurements for that, because there's information out there, work that's been done in the past. We want to make sure we see it ourselves. So whatever it takes to make sure we get that done. One thing that we want to keep repeating, and I'm just doing this so the word gets out there again and again, funding for potential partnerships is going to be critical in making the decision. I don't think this is something, well, depending on how it goes, where the funding will, how much will be enough to make it happen is still an open question. So we want to make sure that we're talking to the philanthropy world as well as the Board of Supervisors. One of the things I wanted to mention that the potential costs for a remodel, actually this would be a rebuild, is between $20 and $30 million, and I think that's gotten out there as though that's the price. That's calculated based on the Emergency Bulletin 4 from the Department of State architect, and that's using a square foot estimate for a total tear down and rebuild. So if the buildings are in good enough shape, it could be considerably less than that. We don't know that yet. So that's kind of a big open question. It could be a lot less than that if it looks like the bones are good enough and if we think the buildings can be brought up to code without tearing them all the way down. Okay. One thing I want to mention for sure is, and I did some outreach to Heidi. If some of these construction ideas, in fact, I think it's probably likely that the center would have to be relocated for a short period, or I'm not sure how short, but if there's a big remodel or a reconstruction, we may have to move students off it while that happens. There's a good possibility that we can't run a student program there while that construction is happening. So we need to be, I think, keep that on the front of everybody's mind. And just to reiterate, we're excited about the project. I'm still very optimistic that this is going to work, and that no matter what happens, if our reports come back and we think it's not doable, I've made a commitment. I don't know exactly what it will look like, but the Marin County office will stay involved in the conversation, do whatever we can to protect those key child care slots, and to make sure that our goal is to have universal pre-K for every student in Marin County that's affordable, and this is something we don't want to lose. We want to keep that in place, so we're not going to drop it. If if it looks like a purchase isn't going to work for us, we'll support all sides to make sure that it goes through in a way that works for kids. So that's the update. If you have any questions for me, they're not big headlines to report, but that's kind of where we are at this point.
I just want to appreciate you coming and continuing to report and participating on our working group meetings. I think that's also really helpful.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that we can do in terms of partnering with additional kind of county lead organizations that would be helpful to bring us in on, just definitely let us know how we can be helpful in that. I know we got a letter from the Board of Supervisors and kind of helped bring them up to speed as well. So any kind of additional support or engagement that you need from us, just let us know.
Great, thanks. Yeah, and I did have a good meeting with Katie Rice, Supervisor Rice, and kind of talked through that and got a rough idea of what the level of county support might be, but I don't want to speak for them.
Yep.
So I'll leave that up to her.
All right.
Or to the board.
I don't know. Yeah.
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm Chris. How are you? Just a question about the timing and the vision you have. Why now and what is your vision? Like do you see just building up what's already there? I just wanted to get a sense from a high level.
Great question. I think why now is it looked to me like there was a possibility that the plans that were underway or being discussed might not work. And so I wanted to weigh in because I'm new to the job. I mean, I've been keeping an eye on it for several months, but this is month 5 for me in the position. One of our key leverage points, we have 3 at the county office over the next 4 years, is to support and expand early childhood education, science of reading, and career technical education. But that one, this to me, it seems like there's value to maintaining those state-funded preschool slots. That's really important, and the county office serves kids all over Marin County, so we feel like that's right in line with our mission and with one of our key leverage points. The other thing is I think it's symbolic for us. Like it really messages to the whole community just how important early childhood education is, and that there are models around the county that I think represent what we could be doing for our youngest learners, and I think this is one of them that's a real showing of support for that. We know that when we have quality preschool programs for our earliest learners, that results are better all throughout their education, and that helps to close the opportunity achievement gap, whatever people want to call it.
I just wanted to say thank you for helping and kind of being collaborative with all of us on this process. So thank you for coming. I wanted to I wasn't able to go to your board meeting, and I was wondering what was the general overall tone, I guess, from your board, because it's going to be a multi-board.
I think it bears repeating. It's not up to me. The county board runs very differently than a local board. They're not my boss. They're limited in what what they can make decisions about. They approve the county budget, they determine the county superintendent's salary, and they deal with real estate, and that's it. Like everything else is in the lap of the county superintendent's office. So in this case, because it's about real estate, they would have to vote to acquire it, and so my staff is doing all the legwork on it, but the board, it'll eventually come to them. And the impression, I don't want to predict, and I'm new to that board, and I haven't seen them vote on very many things yet. Conceptually, they like the idea of supporting early childhood education, and this so far seems appealing to them, is my read on it. You never know.
Thank you. That's all I was looking for, just a little temperature.
Yeah, I feel like, I think they'd like to see it happen, but, there's 7 of them, and, things can change.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you very much for coming here, and like I said, coming to our working group meetings too, and kind of being in it all the way along. Yeah. I really appreciate we'll stay right in talking to us and then getting into the.
Yeah, and there's a lot of enthusiasm and excitement with MCA staff. At first, there was some of my senior advisors who've been there a lot longer than I have, which is pretty much everybody. Like there's this initial like, are you crazy? And then that really quickly turned into, oh no, this is like the good work that we want to be engaging in. And so there's like, Ken Lippy, who was here last time, Mike Grant, Lord Trahan. People are just excited to try to make this work because we know what's good for kids, and like it's this moment where we can really operate based on that idea.
And I think I'm also really encouraged because you do have a mandate for early childhood education. We're a K-8, or TK-8 elementary district. And so and working with the Children's Center, who that's all they do, right? And then now being able to work with Marin County Office of Education that kind of spans all of that is just really, I think, really helpful to have a third party kind of working through this with us that kind of understands all of those different kind of education systems all together, and can help, pull in different resources that kind of span different systems as well, because that's a challenge. I mean, I know that's been a challenge for us to understand how important it is and to really respect and want to be as supportive as we are capable of doing within the elementary school, public school district boundaries that we are in as trustees as well. So I think it's been
And I've learned a lot too from, we have an early childhood office with a really fantastic staff there. I didn't realize how much support, they support pre-K programs or preschool programs all over the county, but they've been, advising, including the Children's Center all over the place, and they have relationships with all our early childhood programs across the county. So I feel like we have this tight relationship already, and I hope we can increase that and build it all over the place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The thing that I keep bringing up since we started this, and it's my theme, I guess, but it's a theme of we. This is a we problem also. This is not an adversarial process. They love children. We love children. You love children. The community loves children. That's why we do this work. But the bigger the we gets, the better the work is, right? And the more when we can get supervisors and communities and different people and get smarter people to the tables, the more people we have to disseminate the information that we have, I'm confident that we can come up as a community with a plan that's really best for everyone. And it sometimes when it's just one group and another group trying to work it out, it's harder because the we isn't as we. But with you coming on board and your group, it's just it feels more comfortable to daylight and to expose what we're trying to accomplish, which is, I think we're all trying to accomplish kind of the same thing. It's just how do we get it done. So I like to hear you say that.
Yeah, and I think that, also I know some of this is repetitive, but I think the more we talk about it publicly, the more enthusiasm there'll be for it, and people are listening. They'll be like, oh, that's something I want to get involved in. Because there's, I think there are resources in this county to make this happen.
Yeah.
One way or another, but I'm sure there are people who it's not even on their radar yet. So like, as long as we're talking to everybody who might be of assistance in this task, even if I repeat myself a lot, just getting that word out there again and again is going to be really important for the next few months.
Thanks.
Well, I don't know if you have time, because I know we started a little bit late, but if you want to stick around and hear whatever kind of update stuff. I don't know if you had a chance to read the board brief and then listen to public comment and all that kind of stuff, if you have time, but I understand if you have to go as well. So it won't be that long. We've taken to writing up board briefs as opposed to doing long and extensive presentations, so that all the information is written, really trying to put in hyperlinks to all of the resources and materials, so that, as we've often seen on board, on projects that we're working on over a long period of time, people kind of come into them at different places along the pathway. So trying to create as much historical links in the updates that we have, so that people who might be new to it can kind of quickly go back and see what was happening before. So that's why we've taken to doing some of these board briefs. So the 7-Eleven committee has moved along and has approved their recommendation report. So we have a link to all of their materials. They have the website page, the web page, with all the materials that were shared during that committee process. And and a link also in the board brief to the recommendation that was approved earlier. I pulled out just that one section of their report, so the graphics that you see in the board brief of the process I thought was really helpful. Kind of takes you from the 7-Eleven process forward. It's something that we've talked about a lot in terms of the Naylor Act and declaring surplus and all of that kind of stuff. So we're not doing any of that tonight, but that will come more likely it will come at our next meeting, because in the surplus act that we would take has to happen at a regular board meeting. So our next regular board meeting is May 31st. So we can go ahead and then take an act on that surplusing act. Do you know if we will have a presentation from someone from the 7-Eleven committee for that?
I'll work on getting.
Okay, that'd be great. It'd be great to hear from them directly. So if we have any questions, but so that'll come up. And then, so then we've got the act of surplusing, considering a surplus, and then moving on with the declaration of our intent to sale. We've all talked much before about the Naylor Act, so this is kind of the pecking order of the lineup of what happens when you go to, once you've surplused a property and where that has to fit in. And then the Children's Center fits in with right after the Naylor Act entities. And we will need to send a letter back out or send this board brief back out to all of those Naylor Act entities. We've talked to all of them already because we met together with the town of Fairfax, the folks at the county, and I think there was one more that we were going to, and that open space that we have to send those letters out to. So they've all been, we've had preliminary conversations with them, but they're going to have to take a formal act in response to our letter. So we need to give them a heads up now that the 7-Eleven committee has finished its process, that will be forthcoming, because there's a whole timeline that goes along with that. So then they technically have 30 days to respond once we send them that letter, but they can turn it around much faster. And once we've gotten all those responses, we don't have to wait 30 days.
We have 60 days.
So that's what we have to keep moving forward on.
Shelley, is it 60 days or 30 days?
The Naylor Act responses is a 30 day. 30 That's just for the Naylor Act response. And then the CEQA, which is the California Environmental Quality Act, is a 35-day timeframe for public response or comment on that. So that's another part of that process. So we added the timeline, kind of that draft timeline. Again, always with an eye that we want to thank you for appreciating our timeline and understanding, and so this adds some detail onto that. We're now kind of doing the double track approach here, so we're moving along on both tracks with MCOE and with the Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center, and we're just keeping both of them moving along. So it's a few more balls in the air to continue to juggle, but I really appreciate that we're all at the same table doing that together to get that coordinated. So that's the outline of both the MCOE due diligence, but then also talking with the Children's Center about moving forward with their letter of intent and moving that process forward as well. So we're double tracking all of that and keeping it all moving as best we can. We are continuing to talk about kind of terms and conditions for the sale and purchase price, mainly a lot around the price, the discount factor that we're looking into, and then also for the reversionary clause. Those are the two items that have taken up the most of our time in our working group conversations. And we have definitely been moving forward on those two items. So I know I've got, most of the information is here in the brief on those. One item that I was going to update everyone in the room on with respect to, I know we've had a couple of questions around we're wanting to substantiate a decision if we're going to consider a discount factor by the cross-enrollment data that we've been trying to get. So we've had some good movement forward in terms of understanding what the roadblocks have been for that. I know, John, your office had offered to step in and tried to look and found like, well, you don't have access to the information either.
That's what I've been told.
And Heidi had passed along the contact information for the people at the California Department of Education that you guys had, that the Children's Center had talked to. And so I made a phone call to them earlier in the week. And while the person that I talked to wasn't able to say that they couldn't provide us with the rosters for the Children's Center, we did have a really good conversation that since the CDE has both of the databases, has access to both of the databases, so our rosters go into the CalPADS database, and then the Children's Center's rosters goes into what's called CPARIS database. It's their attendance, kind of the equivalent of CalPADS. But since CDE has access to both of those, we had a good conversation that maybe they could be the third-party arbitrator of the data and then report back to us on that. So she's going to check with her supervisor about whether they might be able to do that. But that way, the data doesn't have to be shared outside of the Department of Education. And she seemed positive that that might be a solution. She really was supportive because we were talking about how this was around getting a discount factor. So that was a last minute bit of progress that I keep crossing my fingers on, that we hopefully can move that forward. And then at the end of the board brief, there's just, again, links to other additional resources that we'll keep adding to. Any specific questions before we go out to public comment? And then we will bring it back for further discussion. But any technical or clarification questions?
I'm sorry, I have one. The Naylor Act thing, I'm sorry. I was like, I remembered 60 days and I heard something and so I was like, okay. And I clicked through to our pathway and it says 60 days in our timeline.
Did I do that wrong?
Yeah, I don't know. We might just want to update that when we just got in there. If it's going to be a board brief, I want to make sure that's accurate because I was like, 60 days is a little different if we're trying to bump up against August 30th.
I was being optimistic because we have talked to all of them.
Hopefully it won't take that long.
Hopefully it will take a week.
But I want to make sure it's
Thank
sorry.
you. Thank you for
It's
that.
not consecutive. All of them get operated.
Yeah, we can do them all together.
And can we do that concurrent with the sequel? Okay.
We can do it concurrent with the sequel. And as I said, I appreciate the fact that our upstream work, our early work was to go out and talk to all of these entities at the very, very beginning to really get a sense from them about what their interest was, if they would have any interest, and to kind of pre-prime them to let them know that they will have an opportunity to respond and kind of get a temperature check. Now they're probably going to have to take it to their boards to respond to the letter. So that's why we want to get this information out to them sooner than later so that they can plan their board agendas to be able to get it back to us. So hopefully we won't have to use the 60 days, but it can, all of this can be running concurrently, but thank you for that. I appreciate that catch. Yeah. Somehow it got changed on prior editions. Anything else? All right, we will then go out for, did you have anything else?
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge the Children's Center for their 50-year anniversary this year.
Yes,
so congratulations. And I heard when I attended the supervisors meeting, someone say, and here's to another 50. Well, let's go for 1,050. Let's not stop at another 50. Let's keep going. So congratulations.
Okay. And on that note, public comment. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Nope. All right. Then I will bring it back, and if there's any other discussion, otherwise, all right. Thank you very much for coming, John.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you all.
Take two.
All right. And we are on to our consent agenda.
And I would like to pull under consent G9, which is the board bylaw 9220 governing board elections. I needed to do a little bit more work on that one, and so I want to pull it tonight, and I'll come back at a future board meeting with it. I also want to kind of try to get a pulse on, is there going to be another CSB update? We're trying to keep getting our, thank you, Juan, so much for being here.
Thank you.
trying to make sure we're keeping up with the CSB updates. And so I kind of want to get a sense of when the next one might come, because I don't want to make a revision since we're not near having a board election, at least until 2024. None of you had better quit. Okay? No resigning. And so therefore we don't have to have it updated immediately. So we'll be waiting for that. Anyway, I'd like to pull that, but the rest of consent I don't have any questions or concerns about.
Okay. Any other colleagues have any questions or notice anything on there that they wanted to? Nope. All right, well then what?
A lot of reading.
Yeah, a lot of reading.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of power policies, man, getting through.
Yeah, and these are mostly, most of these are just the updates that you're
They're
getting
the
from the
updates,
CSBA kind of, and or just
They're
technical.
perfunctory, yeah, there's nothing substantive in terms of any like potential need for community to be concerned about any of them.
Yeah.
These are,
technical updates. Okay. All right. I will entertain a motion if anybody wants to make one.
Do they public comment?
What?
Do you have to do public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, public comment. We don't have anyone here for public comment, so. I know it's good because people are listening. Thank you. No public comment. All right.
I move that we approve the consent items.
All right, we have motion.
In a second.
A motion and a second. Rachel?
Aye.
Chris?
Aye.
Shelley? Aye. Daniel?
Aye.
And Ryan?
Aye.
All right. We have an approved consent actions. On to board business. Committee updates, reports from trustees. This is where we've combined committees and announcements and everything. Is there anyone?
I will go. Marcy and I attended the Joint Powers of Exercise Agreement meeting where an RFP went out for the yellow school bus. They engaged Bauer, I believe, as a contractor. Marine Transit is underwriting or in charge of the whole thing. We approved an option for the number of buses to 4 and the pass amounts that are increasing significantly. But it was the best option I think we saw as a committee, and so that is on the table. I don't know if you want to add anything, Marcy, from that meeting.
Sure. Yeah. As we wanted to make sure that any communications that go out to our families related to whether it's the lottery or information around, because the reduced price cost is going down to $75 from $100, so that's going down, although the regular price pass is, and I don't remember off the top, $585 one way. So we're working collaboratively with them to help with the communication. And so Jenny Wright in our business office to help craft the message to the families related to the reduced price eligibility, because where we're in transit, we'll be able to make that determination is if they first qualify through the school district for free and reduced. And the real difficulty with free and reduced now is since we're providing free meals for all children, there is a concern, and why the state still calls it free and reduced meals application makes it really difficult for families to understand. So we've communicated out multiple times this year the benefit of completing the form, because if they qualify, they can have access to reduced cost transportation, they can have access to internet as well as devices. That's a new component that Jenny was able to send out to all of our current families who do qualify. There is the state college savings account that they qualify. So we wanted to be sure we're putting that information back into this message, even though the big part of the message is about yellow bus. So we, Jenny and I worked on that yesterday, and we've sent it back to Chris Whitlock with Marin Transit. So we're waiting to hear back if they approve of that. And then Chris also sent John Baker, principal at Whitehill, and myself, the draft of a newsletter that they would like to send. And I had explained to him earlier this week that If you send us the content, we can put it into a parent square message, which will allow all of our families to be able to translate it in their language if it's not English. And so that way it can reach more families than just those who speak Spanish, because they were going to take their newsletter and translate it into Spanish. So I gave them a couple of tidbits on that, like please put your logo on it, because when it says Ross Valley Yellow Bus Program, it'll be confusing to our families, thinking that it's the district's program, since the email will be coming from us. And so they are hoping to have the bus pass lottery for Whitehill. That will happen within the next 2 weeks. And while the lottery process, or the application process, if you will, whatever they call it, is open, it doesn't matter whether you sign up to be part of the lottery on the first day or the last day, because it is a lottery. There's no benefit to hurrying up and getting your name submitted for your child or children. And then once they close that lottery or the application process, then they will begin to conduct the lottery. Another change for this coming year is because they used to allow 10 days for a parent to confirm whether or not they wanted to purchase the pass. That was causing all the completion of the full lottery to go very far into the summer, which didn't allow families to make alternate plans should they not ultimately be selected for a bus pass. So those families whose numbers were pulled earlier, then it was just too much time. So they've reduced it now to 2 days. And of course, one of the comments by our committee, the JIPA, is that if throughout their process that they realize that they are having too many families not respond, because 2 days is a tight turnaround, that they will adjust midstream. But they also, which was unknown to the JIPA committee, is that Marin Transit makes phone calls to the families. They don't just send them an email, they also make phone calls to say, hey, we sent you this email. If you want the bus pass, please complete the process. The other change being made for next year is, instead of being able to pay monthly for the full cost of the bus pass, it is going to be moved down to 2 payments. So there'll be one at the beginning to secure it, and then one partway through the year. And so those are some shifts and changes. So that will be communicated out to our families as soon as we have it. Once the lottery is well underway for Whitehill, then the passes, there's not a lottery for Hidden Valley, the passes will go on sale at the, roughly they're anticipating the end of May.
Very comprehensive follow-up to my update. Thank you very much.
Between the two, that's why they're multiple.
That's just like, hey, take it away.
I have a question. Can I ask?
Yes.
Because I'm sure did you have another update from another committee?
I have another update from another committee. Would you like to hear about it?
I would. But can I ask one question about this?
Absolutely.
So one of the things that I appreciated was, both appreciated the approach to, but also appreciated as a challenge, is the shift in the socioeconomic status for families and all of the impacts and the reasons why qualification matters. Mm-hmm. And it's not just free and reduced lunch, which is universal now, mm-hmm. but all of the ones that you listed. Is it the same application and qualification for, I know we get differential funding from the state based mm-hmm. on, so it's the same yes. qualification level?
Yeah.
So the only other thing that I would add in, maybe not for this, but maybe at some point.
It's in there.
Is to, it's in there? Okay.
Oh yeah, it's in our draft communication out. So it's also on our website. And I updated our website yesterday to change it up a little bit to make it more clear that not only does the district receive funding based on our number of families who do qualify for free and reduced, but there are benefits to the family. So it's broken apart in 2 sections, the benefits to the district and the benefits to the family and child. Great. And so, and that was helpful. And then what Sean Maher, our director of IT, and I were talking about yesterday is the communication that Jenny sent out related to the technology, the latest and greatest access that families will have for technology, is taking out the free and reduced from the lunch and breakfast and lunch section of our website, because it really doesn't have anything to do with meals anymore. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take it out. We're going to create a new section on our website that we think will be enticing families to look at it more, because it's going to be called free and reduced. And that'll be the topic. So if you're like, what's free and reduced? Oh my gosh, let me go here.
Because it's free and reduced bus passes and technology and this, and so it's, okay. All right.
And one thing that Marin Transit did say too on the note about the free and reduced is that they do believe they will be able to accommodate all families.
Okay.
Now, of course, it is a reduction from 5 buses to 4. But with that, the other change is the routes. And so because we were able to, the big change that we had to make as a district was to change the bell schedules for Hidden Valley and White Hill, because historically there's been about a 20 minutes difference between the end of the day, and it's always the end of the day that causes the transportation issues, not the beginning of the day, because White Hill has its pre-period and its regular school day. So that's never been a problem. But the end of the day shifted this year to Hidden Valley and White Hill getting out at the exact same time. So it has meant that they weren't able to sell all the passes for the White Hills 5th bus because the 5th bus was getting to the campus so late and families needed their kids to get to other activities. So they asked us early on, if you can please shift your bell schedules to at least back what they used to be. So thank you to Hidden Valley. And thank you to White Hill for working on that, because it is truly problematic for our families, as we know the infrastructure on the roadways. We need to take advantage of as much opportunity, and we know more and more of our families are also purchasing their kids or whatever way they're doing it, e-bikes. So there is that interest and need too for getting to and from school.
Yeah.
All right, next.
You know, I'm new to these committees, so I'm just kind of coming in and I'm like wide-eyed and I have no idea what's happening, but I'm learning. The second committee I was happy to be a part of for the first inaugural pitch was the Safe Routes to School. So every 4 years they evaluate crossing guard needs, and 2 are being discontinued. One is past Manor at, is it SFD?
It's right at the corner of Sir Francis Drake and Oak Manor.
Oak Manor, okay.
So, which is not a heavily utilized, in the analysis that they do. The kids tended to cross at Live Oak and Sir Francis Drake and across from some apartment complexes closer to Glen Drive.
Yep. So they go to these sites and they do assessments and then they rate them and charter them. There's 2 that are being added, one at Butterfield and Sir Francis Drake, and one at San Francisco. And
Tamil. At Sir Francis Drake and Tamil, which is basically San Francisco.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So, you know, it's, they've been speaking to school districts, task forces. I think the thing that I really took away from this is that this is the only countrywide funded program.
Countywide.
Countywide in California. In most counties, there's no crossing guards.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's a reminder that this is good news. The funding comes from Measure A and Measure AB, is it?
I think so.
Yeah. So you know, this was interesting, and I think, you know, Marcy raised a very interesting observation, and that is you have the traffic that they monitor to determine adding these new crossing guard places, but Sir Francis Drake and Butterfield, for example, was on the cusp of kind of needing it, but not really. So, you know, parents will get used to it, and there's a risk that it could be taken away. But other than that, that was kind of the big takeaway from this meeting. Nothing grand, but just a little reevaluation.
And they did meet with, Marin Transit met with Peg and me first before, so that we would learn what was happening. And so Peg and I both went out to monitor at different times from each other. And it was interesting because nobody crossed at the times that we were there. They are maintaining the crossing guard that is up closer to school on Oak Manor Drive, and that one is heavily used. Definitely. So we're really glad to see that. And so, because Peg was really worried at first, like, what's going on? But the way that they describe the process they use, it's actually, they use cameras. It used to be humans out there counting and tallying, and they now use cameras, and it's over a span of 4 times that they take the data. And whichever of the 4 times, it's not an average, whichever of the 4 times ranks the highest, that's the one they give the ultimate rating to. And they're able to fund out of this tax measure 96 crossing guards throughout Marin County. They are looking at being able to fund the 97th. But the crossing guard location that's being removed from our district ranked about 141st of all of the ones in the county. They did go out and review because they received some concerns about the Broadmoor area, but there wasn't even remotely anything that made it close to meeting the requirements to fund that.
Any other ones?
Just on this particular committee, the Butterfield Safety Committee is also working to add some bike lanes for safety along the Green Valley Legend area. So that's it.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't know. So busy month, a lot of open houses. I went to Hidden Valley's open house at the beginning of April, which was fun because it's like my, I guess, alma mater kind of for my kids. So I got to see a lot of familiar faces, but it was really fun to like go through the classrooms now and see how they've changed and how things are being worked in there with all the equity work we're doing. And so that was a really interesting walkthrough since I've been there 9 years on that campus. So it was really interesting to look through all that. I got to go to Brookside's open house. And I really, their multipurpose room, they had a racial equity walk, which was just fabulous. And I'd heard about it at one of the racial equity meetings I had been to. And I made a point of going to that to go see it specifically. And I was blown away. It was just such a wonderful thing to go through. And the way it was organized by grades, by like rows, it was just to see the progression from the little ones all the way up was just, it was really eye-opening, and it was really kind of confirming what we're doing is like having an impact. So that was really nice to see. I went to the Yes Board meeting. They have launched their spring fundraising campaign. They are focusing on participation in the spring, which is what they traditionally do. And I was at Wade Thomas one morning with Marcy waving signs. It drop off in the morning for Yes, and other parents were doing the same. I know Daniel, I think, was doing it at Brookside one morning. They're in the last week of the campaign right now, and so participation is a little bit lower than they would have liked. So they will be making calls on Thursday to families that haven't donated yet to see if, hey, maybe can you donate anything at all? It'd be really helpful. Battle of the Bands happened a week ago. It was a big success. They just kind of, the board was like just thanking everybody in general and, saying thanks to those who were not there but still helped in other ways. And so they raised, I think, about $16,000. Final numbers aren't in yet. They're still doing some calculating, but it's around $16,000, I believe. The art teachers have been busy with the open houses, and if anybody else happened to go to those, you'll see why. The displays at the open houses were just so fun to look at, and it was so interesting to see the different unique things that come out of the same lessons at the different school sites, and just how different they show up in the artwork. Let's see. We've got May 18th, the White Hill Musical Theater class has a performance coming up. May 25th, the White Hill Advanced Music Concert for the 7th and 8th grade chorus, orchestra, band, and jazz band will be going on. For theater, they're done for the year, and it's about time for them to start picking shows for next year. So they'll be picking the shows for next season, and I know they've got a team that looks at it for all sorts of various factors, but they are focusing on equity and making sure there's representation and making sure that they're being very thoughtful about how they choose their plays. And so it's been a nice shift to see what the fun different projects that they've been bringing forward. Like the 12 Huntsmen was, they spent a lot of time looking for things that are unique and looking at those different angles. I attended a webinar about social media and children's mental health, and I think it was interesting given that we just dealt with that at one of our board meetings, like looking at joining a lawsuit on that. It was a really highly decorated, knowledgeable panel. There's a California state senator there. They talked about an upcoming SB 287. It's a bill aimed at making kids safer online. They're saying specifically from harmful algorithms and social media companies, because they're saying that like every 1 out of 3 ads directed at teen girls is about self-harm or body image or other harmful things that are going on. And so it's kind of directed at making them take accountability and deal with that. And so it was a really interesting presentation, a little bit concerning. When they're talking about government's role in regulating the industry and specifically tips about home and school and things like that. So I have notes if anyone would like those. I took notes. I went to the 5th and 6th grade orchestra and choir concert at White Hill, which is really fun because you get all the 5th graders, the whole district, all of the 5th graders playing, and then the 6th grade, so you can see what happens when you get it very regularly, like multiple days a week versus like once a week, and just see the progression. And they had never sung together before, and they performed some songs together, and so it was really sweet. The next day, I went and saw the 5th and 6th grade band concert. Same kind of configuration. My daughter's in the band, so I got to see the whole district, which was, I think there's like 90 kids in 5th grade playing in band this year. That's 90 5th graders. Wow. And they were loud. And they sounded great, and so that was really, really cool to see. It was just really a big contrast between when my son was there during COVID and to see what the numbers were for 5th grade then versus now, and how much it has meant to the program to see when they can play together, how much of a difference it makes. So that was really cool. And then on Saturday, the whole music department at White Hill is going to Music in the Parks at Great America down south. And so they're going to be in a competition, all the various groups, choir, orchestra, concert band, symphonic band, and jazz band. They're all going to be performing in competition with similar groups, ages, sizes. And then they get to hang out in the park for the rest of the day. So I'll be actually going down for that as well. As a parent, not affiliated. I'm just going to go and enjoy myself. I'm going to watch the kids I have play, and then I'm going to go. So that's all.
Daniel, anything?
No, I wasn't able to attend the roundtable meeting this past Friday.
Okay.
But I took a 3rd grade class to the Exploratorium yesterday, and I still have a headache.
Lots of squealing and
it was, and it was a quiet day yesterday. We asked, it felt crowded. There were 900 students in the Exploratorium.
Wow.
And we said, what's a busy day? Like, this has to be busy. He said, they usually get 3,000 is a busy day for them in the city of Pier 15. So we said, we're glad we're here on a light day. But the students had a great time. Both 3rd grade classes from Brookside went. We probably had, 10 to 12 parent volunteers driving, and both teachers, Pelleriti and Diaz. And so it was great. Students loved it.
I wasn't at the last board meeting, but I did run a report on one event that happened at Brookside. It was a school dance. And it was the first, big event post-COVID. And the turnout was unbelievable. We had a DJ that came in from Oakland. He discounted us. He's one of the best DJs you can possibly get. He's really well known. Had the lighting, the sound system. At one point, it was just like a rager. And this one little girl says, "This is the happiest night of my life." Oh. And I said, "That's my work here is done." So it was amazing. And it brought a glow back to the campus that we've been missing at Brookside. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that we're teaching these kids to party again, and to realize that they can all dance and have a good time. Yeah,
all boogie together.
Super spreader event. Everyone lived. It was wonderful.
Well, we missed you, Supers Council, but I'm going to let you talk about Superintendent's Council because I missed the beginning part of it, so you can, in your update, do a little bit. But afterwards, the roundtable met, the full roundtable met right after, and most of the people are similar on the two of them, and that roundtable is still working on, but making very good progress on an updated roundtable agreement, which is the cooperative agreement among all of the independent nonprofit parent organizations. So that was an agreement that was forged many moons ago when my kids were kindergartners or first graders. I remember the roundtable. I remember going to one of the roundtable agreement or roundtable committee meetings. They have been in the process of realizing that it needed some serious revisions. partially and wonderfully because of all the equity work that's being done in the county, that they have really, I have just been continued to be impressed with really digging into looking at that agreement through an equity lens, and it's showed up in both the revenue and expenses. So they have repositioned the way that they're thinking about fundraising and kind of getting rid of a lot of the concepts around scholarshiping individual students and messaging that the fundraising is so that all students have access, all students have equitable access to the enrichment programs that are funded by parent organizations. There's, we should share the draft with all of the board at some point, a series of like 5 principles, and really focusing on that mission statement being equitable access, so that there's not this, it's not getting away from this kind of transactional thing that a lot of the fundraising is, like, oh, give me $60 for your kid's field trip and give me whatever, and really looking at the whole school, and then so not just the whole school or not just this classroom, so it's not a classroom ask, and it's not necessarily even now just a whole school ask, but it's a whole district, so that regardless of what school a child goes to, they have equitable experiences in that enrichment, the child and the parents, so that there's not one campus that's having tons of dances and barbecues and another campus that's not having anything. One of the challenging things is like putting this into practice, because then what it's been bumping up against is also allowing each site to still maintain a certain amount of flexibility. Like, they don't want to be cookie cutter, they want to have flexibility to be appropriately responsible to their community and what their community of families want to do. And so that's where a lot of the conversation has been. And so what we've done is, instead of having these micro line items, we've bucketed it into, or they bucket it because it's there. We're just there to help facilitate the conversation, but it's really an agreement among these independent parent organizations. But they've put it into just 4 categories, and then trying to say, okay, within those categories, there's a certain kind of tolerance for variance. It's a really interesting conversation around what is a tolerance for variance that maintains equitable access and individual flexibility. So it's been a really interesting, and I've really been appreciative. And then also everybody has been really supportive of Yes and White Hill, which are kind of outliers. So there's the 4, and understanding that their budgeting is different, and that everybody's pitching in to help with Yes fundraising and to help with White Hill, because everybody's kids end up at White Hill. And so it's really nice to see this whole district approach. And they're going to now do, in the next year, all the flyers are going to have like Yes on one side and the school on the other side. So coordinating all of that outreach to see that happening. And so I think it's a great
Yeah, from a messaging standpoint, the parents just need to know what's the number.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, like, I feel like we're asked every week, every month.
Well, you'll be in the focus group
well,
then
if I
to see.
can say that at the beginning of the year at Brookside's back to school night, and I went to all of them, but there was this one particular representative of Yes who was standing in for his wife, who actually is the Yes rep for the school, but he did because she couldn't be there that night. And his name is Daniel Cassidy, who's sitting up here. But it was amazing what Brookside School did between the parent club and the Yes reps to be able to explain to the parent community who were sitting in the audience that night of this is what the parent club's responsible for, and this is what Yes is responsible for. And then they did a quiz and threw little candies and stuff like that out to the audience when they could answer. But it was really helpful. So that's one of the, having been there that night, when we started our roundtable meetings this year, I was like, we've got to somehow capture what Brookside did and make that go on a roadshow. But that's where the idea came from, because Dania Duddleton.
That's right.
Any roadshow, I'm here.
Exactly, because Dania and Mamie Robinson Parent Club, and then Daniel representing Yes, were able to really make that super clear and distinct for the families. And so we wanted to capture that for all schools, being able to go forward with that. So it's been an amazing work, and thank you so much, Shelley, for helping out this budget template. Because of her background with nonprofits, she has been integral in helping to understand and created a template, actually, that the Brookside treasurers, co-treasurers, started it just to get something going for the group. And then Shelley came in and worked with them and Teresa, because Teresa took every parent club's budget and plugged it into this template so that it was at a glance. So it's been a really amazing group effort, but my biggest appreciation of all was our very first meeting of the year, where I didn't know what reaction I would get in talking to the parent clubs and site council, the members of Roundtable, about equity. And I didn't have to say anything. It came directly from them. And so it was like this. It's been a long, because we've had 11 subcommittee meetings throughout the year. Haven't even had any of our regular Roundtable meetings. But they have been working really hard to come up with something, and it's truly going to be, I think, amazing. The culmination of it. So it's been fun.
It's been kept in the forefront.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
nice
really
to
great.
see the work permeating in the classrooms, and then
It's all over the
Well,
district.
it's so complicated with the parent volunteers that are running these nonprofits that may be there for a year or 3, and then the change, and then the history. It's
a challenge.
It's a challenge.
Yeah,
It's
they're
fascinating.
working hard. And then Parent Guardian Equity Task Force meeting was just, I think we were all in tears at one point. It was, and we'll talk more about it at our next meeting when we talk about
Good tears or bad
Good
tears?
tears.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Just check.
Oh, yes, no, because
it was spots.
But it was also because there had been the other side of it, and it was
come a long way, baby.
Yeah, it was an appreciation and a celebration, and just to hear the stories of what the parents, were experiencing, and hearing their stories and talking about kind of how they're seeing it in action.
How their kids are talking at home about what they're learning in the classrooms, how they're seeing themselves feeling valued by what they see in the curriculum and the conversations that go on in the classrooms. So our parents of color and even our white parents are absolutely seeing and experiencing the shifts that we've been making and are really appreciative. So it was a night of bright spots.
It was a night of bright spots, and at the same time there was also really amazing acknowledgement of going through tough conversations and staying in it, and staying in it and recognizing that that's staying in it and staying together and kind of coming through the other side and then being able to celebrate together. So hopefully we'll hear some of those maybe next month. That's all.
That's great.
Yeah.
Sorry I missed it.
But I heard you guys were good reason.
Good reason.
Good reason. So, and like I said, I hope we'll get some of that. And I think the presentation. It was a really good presentation and conversation with those bright spots. So you'll hear more about that.
Wonderful.
Anything else before we go on to superintendents and any public comment on any updates?
Yeah, meeting.
Nope. So now we've got approval of the meeting minutes for April 5th.
Of the regular
meeting and then the special meeting minutes for April 5th. Were there any notes or amendments to any of those minutes? No? All right. I will entertain a motion for it.
So moved.
Motion. I'll second it. Motion and a second. Ryan?
Aye.
Rachel? Aye. Shelley? Aye. Chris?
I was not there. I'll
Oh,
abstain.
that's right. You were not there.
Aye.
Great. That's for the regular meeting minutes and then the special meeting minutes.
So moved.
I second it.
All right. Ryan?
Aye.
Daniel?
Aye.
Abstain.
Abstains? Shelley, aye, and Rachel. Okay, thank you. On to superintendent cabinet reports.
All right, well, thank you. And given the time of the evening, we're going to be recessing back into closed session. We will keep it quick. So Eric Sable, Director of Student Services, anything you'd like to let us know about tonight?
Last DLAC meeting of the year will be, this school year, will be Wednesday, the 10th, 6 p.m. via Zoom, and we're inviting our friends from TAM Adult Ed once again to talk about different opportunities for ongoing learning. So I'm excited about that. And And then in terms of looking ahead to summer extended school years, a special education service for children at risk of regression over summer. And the HR team has been hard at work along with my crew on the special ed side to get it staffed and get student numbers and build up the classes and get it going. So we're excited about that. It's a cool aspect of the program and is really essential to so many kids that really need that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Julia, Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and any HR updates?
Yes. So at SUPS Council, we got, so the Superintendent's Council also serves as our LCAP advisory group. And we got feedback from that group for the LCAP, which we are currently working on building, really looking at our LCAP goals and associated actions and looking at where we're really seeing that this is taking hold and taking place and where we need to grow for the coming year. So that was super useful and helpful as we move forward with building the LCAP for this year, which we'll be bringing a draft to you at the May 31st board meeting. We're also, as an administrative team, we've been working all year on developing our MTSS, but this week we really got to dig in and begin writing the playbook that we'll be launching in the fall. So that was a positive moment. We have an upcoming release day for kindergarten and first grade. We're bringing those teachers together to select decodable readers, which are early readers in alignment with science of reading. Decodables are readers where every word inside that book can be sounded out phonetically rather than using some of the other cueing systems that we've used in the past. So this is an important component of our literacy program. And along those lines, we're also in the process of looking for a consultant to come to the district and provide some training around science of reading and structured literacy, which really just prepares students to decode words and learn to read in a very systematic manner. And actually at the May 31st board meeting, we'll be talking a little bit more about literacy and giving you a little window into the teaching that's going on in Ross Valley. I also very much appreciated our equity meeting and just the journey, the acknowledgement of the journey was really kind of a profound moment for me. And there's something really to be said about the people. Many of the parent guardians in our room are BIPOC, and for those to be the people that are saying that they're seeing an impact and that their kids are coming home and reporting greater comfort and a greater sense of belonging on their campuses is, really that's the work that we're trying to do. So that was a really profound moment. And then we also got really great feedback about how we will, just suggestions towards where to focus our efforts next year for our Racial Equity Action Plan 3.0. And then finally, hiring update. We're really, 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 really busy with hiring, and hiring now is quite a process. I've been saying lately it's a buyer's market, and so you have to work really hard to find people and to bring people on board. But we've had some bright spots there, some really big successes, I would say, in terms of folks that I think we're going to be able to bring into our family and team. So I'm excited for that, but also acknowledge that there's a lot more work there ahead of us.
I don't want to belabor the equity aspect, but I do want to say that the work that we've done on the Parent Equity Task Force, I've noticed, is having tentacles.
It was talked about last week.
And the tentacles have reached, for example, and I'll leave names, but my kids are on a swim team, the Sleepy Hollow swim team. And there are some new members who've come on who aren't necessarily comfortable. They're from BIPOC communities. And the buddy families who, in my own experience, have been quite unevolved when it comes to equity, have really come forward from the experiences they've had, from the work we've done, to be like, no, this will not do. We need to make this, really stepping up and really caring about an event that happened at Sleepy Hollow. And I was really touched because I thought that's because we've been doing the work. And we've been not just explicitly driving the messages home, but the implicit organic growth of awareness. It really showed in this particular instance. And I just want to say, if we're not hurting while we're doing it, we're not doing it right. So that painful process was necessary, because if you're doing this work and you don't have discomfort, you're not doing it right. So.
And there was broad recognition that, the work is nowhere near done.
Nowhere
We'll never
near,
be done
no.
with the work. There's no, it's really important to affirm and celebrate, and at the same time recognize that we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, but we're all in it. We're committed to it, so that's really good.
Yeah.
And that's why y'all getting going back.
Okay.
All right, Chris?
Mine will be fast. We talked earlier about the 7-Eleven committee just completing our work. I do want to say that the process for the 7-Eleven committee, there were 7 of us. I was one of the 7, so there were 6 other individuals. The process started in early February, and then it really kicked into high gear in March, where we were meeting nearly weekly, and since then. And it was a lot of work. I've seen all of the documents, so it wasn't, I didn't have to go in and look at the documents for the first time. But the other 6 members, they looked at thousands of pages of documents and came to those meetings well prepared, and we were able to put together a document that I think the community has a lot to be proud of, as well as the school district and the Fairfax San Anselmo Children's Center. And so I just want to recognize those individuals.
Thank you so much, Chris, because being an employee of the school district representing the category of administrator, which is one of the required categories, you did a lot of heavy lifting to work to prepare and gather those documents and all of that. So thank you. And I know you served, right, as chair while
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks while the chair was on vacation. So thank you for stepping into that chair role too.
And also thank you to Janet Garvin, who was the chair. She had a planned vacation, which is why she was out for those 2 meetings. But she did a lot of heavy lifting as well. And everybody who stepped in and worked on the report as well.
We also look forward to saying thank you to them, so as many of them as we can encourage to come
To
to our
attend,
next meeting so that we can appreciate all the work that they put in. Would really like to be able to thank them in person for all that work.
Definitely.
So I'll just add, related to Superintendent's Council, one of the things that we also, we had a special guest, Melissa Wallstrom, representing the Marin County Healthy Youth Organization. I may have missed a couple of words in there, but they have started a coalition called Raising the Bar. And what it basically is to encourage that whenever there are events and activities in which children are present, that there is no use of alcohol at those, so that we can demonstrate to our kids that you can have fun, you can celebrate. And so we already know that there's no alcohol use or any other kind of substances at any kind of school district event. But part of, and you remember that at I think it was April 5th, that she came and spoke on public comment on items not on the agenda. And I thought the best place to have her questions and wondering if the district would partner would be to go to where our parents are. And so having her, when I reached out to her and said, hey, I think this would be a great venue, come to Sub's Council, and because they are advisory to the superintendent, and so let's see if we have agreement from our parent clubs to want to participate or be a partner. And it was unanimous with the presentation that she and Lisa, I forgot her last name, a Mill Valley parent, who came and presented, and it was very well received. And then I heard that at a weekend event, one of our representatives on Sub's Council had commented how pleased they are that we are partnering. So looking forward to that. So we'll be getting banners as well as metal signs to have on our school campuses, just to raising the bar and hopefully helping all of our families. And it also is a reinforcement for our parent clubs that there are safe when they're talking about activities and events, not to have alcohol at those. And then John Baker, Mary Claire Mullen, the co-principals of Whitehill, Alicia Solis, the Whitehill school psychologist, and I, we all attended a town hall with the town of San Anselmo. And the purpose of that meeting, that was on Saturday, April 22nd. And the purpose of that meeting was to talk about the e-bike usage in Memorial Park and also at Red Hill Shopping Center, as well as substance use at those venues. And it was pretty well attended. And some of the outcomes of that, like some of the members of the community said, Whitehill should confiscate a child's bike if it's reported that they've done something wrong in Memorial Park. And John very eloquently, because he is very eloquent, and he spoke and said, we absolutely do monitor and we take steps where we can when it's within our jurisdiction. But something that occurs on the weekend is not within our jurisdiction, and so we're unable to do that. Tara Topier, Tamalpais Union High School District Superintendent, and Lysandra White, who is the principal at Archie Williams, were present also. And so it was really great to have the two school districts there in partnership with the town. And one of the parents spoke and said, it's really actually up to us. So I am volunteering, she happens to be a Whitehill parent, I am volunteering to start a parent group to where we know who these kids are, who are blowing through stop signs, who might be going into the Red Hill the Safeway there into CVS and stealing alcohol and smearing makeup all over the place in the CVS. And so we know who these kids are, and so let us help to make this a real community effort. So there were a lot of good outcomes. Katie Rice was there, Nancy Vernon talking about events and activities that are going on in the town of San Rafael that are related to help keep youth healthy and find other avenues. So it was a great meeting. And then as John and Mary Claire, they're already working on bicycle rack type of things and enclosures for Whitehill for next year, because there was an e-bike stolen from the campus, and a lot of the kids, when they're putting their regular bikes or their e-bikes, they're not locking them. And this e-bike that was stolen was not locked. And so ensuring that there's plenty of space, and also making sure that that when there are families who have the e-bikes, that they're making sure that the school knows that their child has an e-bike, so that there's going to be a separate location for e-bike to help keep them safe and to make sure there's enough space for all the bicyclists who do go into the campus.
If I could add on to that, I did take those two principals from Whitehill on a field trip in regard to this e-bike issue. And they didn't know where they were going, but they did agree to get in my car. And I drove them outside to the area where I pick up my kid, which is across where the bus stop is, to kind of watch the things that I brought up before, where not only kids running across the crosswalk, but I was really happy to see. So they were sitting in the car just like it was a stakeout, and they watched the first group of kids just walking across, and then I just wanted to see what I see every day and to try to bring it to their attention. And after a while, to their credit, John couldn't take it anymore. He just got out of the car and said, "Hey, just took care of it." And then, not only that, after I explained to him, like, I don't know how to do your job, but I exposed what I was seeing. And I've experienced and called the police several times in regard to what happens on these e-bikes after school, where these kids do blow the stop signs at 25 miles an hour. They're not going slow. They're blowing through it. I saw last week officers out there by the stop sign at 3:00, and it's really kind of nice that the community is kind of getting on board, seeing a danger, showing it out there, and actually it sounds like it's not just there, it's kind of everywhere. So it's nice to hear that it's just bigger. And I was really proud to see both of those principals from Whitehill really just taking an active role for the responsibility we have at our school, but it's really nice that we're not just saying that's a San Anselmo problem, and because it's really an our problem too. Yeah.
And Marin Police Authority were present at the town hall, and one of the things that they described is that it is really difficult to tell the ages of children sometimes because there are middle school kids who look like they're 16. So they have to be very, very, very careful. Just if there's somebody who might be under 16, but they're driving the speed limit and they're out there because that's what they monitor for is traffic violations. So when there's a person who's abiding by the speed limit, stopping at the stop signs, they cannot profile. And then the other thing they talked about is, which was new to me, is that when they engage with a juvenile, they cannot disengage from that juvenile until a parent has been contacted. And so when we're talking about kids who are on the e-bikes and they are going to cite that child for the e-bike, they must make contact with the parent. They cannot hand the child the citation and let the child go. So think about how many officers it may take to hold on to the bike, to get the bike to the station, and then to wait until a child is made contact with the parent.
They don't need to actually contact the parent if they're just having a talk with the kid. Right.
But it is best practice because they also want to be in contact with the parent to let them know. So they are doing that. The other thing that they acknowledged, which we know, is this is not a problem in Marin County alone. This is a problem throughout the state of California. There is legislation that's being proposed to somehow better regulate e-bike usage because they do not require it, depending on which kind they are. And the police officer said also that it's very difficult to tell the pedal assist type of an e-bike from the kind that is completely motorized. So they themselves have some limitations too and concerns that they have as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's the punitive side, which is hard, but then you also have the side, as there have been discussions about having preemptive education required. Maybe White Hill kids that are getting e-bikes, they have to go through a course before they're allowed to actually ride the bike to school. Have there been discussions about that?
We cannot regulate that because it is not mandated by law. So to regulate that a family actually does something and then the course to be put together. Now there is a Safe Routes to School course that our kids have had access to. Now that starts, I think, in 3rd grade. And so one of the aspects that we talked about that day was potentially having that course be put down to the lower grades. But Safe Routes is short-staffed, so they may not have the staff to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So White Hill is looking at some kind of, for next year. They're John and Mary Claire.
It could be optional. It could be optional for parents to know that it's out there, to help just rest at night.
Yeah. Okay, so I think on that note, there you go, cabinet rest.
All right. Let's see, we are on item J, continuation of closed session if needed, which we do need. So we are going to now recess back into our closed session.
And so what we're going to do with this is, in order, because we don't know how long this may last, is that we'll let Teresa and Jorge go home for the evening. So when we come back out of closed session, then they won't be here, but Chris will take over getting us back on the recording. So we will stop the live streaming. When we come back out, it will be recording only, and then a report out if any action is taken in that closed session.
Okay.
So at this time, it is
9:16, and we will recess into the continuation of our closed session.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, it is 10:43, and we are coming out of our continuation of the closed session and reconvening back into open session. We don't have anything to report out from the continuation of the closed session. The only report out is that it's 10:43, we took a motion to continue past our normal 10:30 deadline, which was seconded and approved for us to do that. But other than that, there's no action. Rachel made a motion and Ryan seconded, and it was unanimous. And we are going to skip our meeting review and simply adjourn our meeting at 10:44.